I want to put out that my party and the political party in the country, they have many times condemned what happens in our country. And my party personally, and me personally, I have condemned the coup of March. I want to be clear at that point. And now, since March, we have seen that many violence is occurring in our country. And who asked for international intervention in our country? Is political parties, is civil society, is all people around in our country, churches and so on. We ask for the intervention, but because we do know that the way our country is run now is not good, because many people have been killed, have been injured, this economy is destroyed. And that is clear. And we are playing now that the intervention has to be straight, have to go straight to the complete disarmament of all armed groups which have no right to detain gangs with them. And that is to be clear, because we are political parties, and we only legitimacy of the election can bring power to a group in our country.
But if I may, Mr. Ziguélé, how is that to be achieved? Your country is the size of, I think, Spain and Portugal combined. It is a large country, a large area, with a population that is very spread out. You have nearly 5 million people, but they are very spread out, and we see violence occurring in many different corners and areas of this big country. How can a few thousand troops from France and other African nations bring to an end the terrible spiral of violence which the French foreign minister says is close to genocide?
Yeah, fortunately, our country is not so crowded as Nigeria or South Africa or Egypt or Ethiopia or Sudan. Our country is we are not very numerous in our country. We are only 4.5 million people. And the main peoples are in Bangui. In the surroundings in the country, there are very small cities and very small neighboring. So I think that since French troops and African troops, like Burundi troops or the other country troops, they have an experience of being formerly in UNISOM in Somalia or in Darfur. They have experience, and French troops have experience to bring the peace quickly in our country. And I think what is happening in the Muslims and Christians can be quickly solved, because we are not very numerous. We are not very numerous, and I think we have time again to
if I may, how do you heal the wounds that have been so grievously inflicted in the last few months? Let me quote to you the words of one refugee woman in the Bossangoa mission. That is the place in Bossangoa where tens of thousands of Christians have sought shelter from the Seleka militia. She says, how do you expect us to live with our Muslim neighbors again? We know that the Muslims we thought were our brothers are in fact with the Seleka. How do you heal wounds like that?
No, we have known some very difficult situations. That is true that we have known very difficult situations. But we have to build a nation. We have to build a nation. And we have to build a nation with people from north, from south, from east, from west of our country. We have to build a country with both Christian and Muslims. We have no choice to do otherwise. You have seen today everybody is mourning Mandela. He's uploaded all the way. And 10 or 20 years or 30 years ago, if somebody put that people in South Africa can live together, there is no chance to be followed. By now, the living together in South Africa is a reality. And I do think that in our country, we have to build confidence. It will be difficult, it will be hard, but it's not impossible to build confidence between people.
Who is going to do it, Mr. Ziguélé? It's not going to be you, is it? I mean, after all, you're a member of the political elite in your country. that has failed the people for 50 years and more. You've had, what, 8 or 10 coups since independence. You've had corruption on a massive scale. You are part of a political leadership that has comprehensively failed the nation.
No, I understand. It's why we are struggling. You know, if you have no hope in your life, you cannot live. So we have hope that we can, what happens in our country since independence can be a kind of lesson for them, for us. I have never been a president. I intend to go there, but I think that what happened in our country is an experience, is a lesson we can use positively to build a nation. Because we have a very great deal, I know, we got a great deal, and all the world is very skeptic about the chance of our country to be ahead, to be straight up. But I have no choice that to believe in my country.
Why
I have no other choice.
You believe in your country, but why should your countrymen believe in you? You have a track record as Prime Minister to the President about, what, 10 or more years ago, and your record, frankly, was not very impressive. At that time, the country was deeply corrupt.
No, since I am a Democrat, So if I believe to my country, is belong to the people to believe in me or not. It's not compulsory. It's a democratic game. So I am not saying that I am the lone man in the country who can bring prosperity, stability, but I do think that my party and myself, we have a role to play to build democracy in our country.
Let's get to one specific issue. When you were Prime Minister for President Patasse, your administration, or at least the President's administration, was famed for using foreign troops, I believe from Libya. There were other foreigners who were serving him in the Presidential Guard. There are now hundreds, if not thousands, of foreign fighters in your country, some from Sudan, many from Chad. Do you believe those foreign fighters should be allowed to stay, or should they be taken out, forced out of your country immediately?
Before answering to your question, I want to put that if you see that a problem come again, that the problem is a structural problem. Our country is a very weak state. We need to build that state, to build an administration, to build an army, to build intelligence services, to build an economy. And it's true that if we fail to do that, we will always have problems. Yesterday with Patasse, yesterday with Bozize, today with Njotodia, and perhaps tomorrow with somebody else. That is true. But what I want to
answer my question.
I want to answer your question. All foreigners who detain guns in our country, they have to leave the country. They have to leave the country.
How are you going to make them? How are you going to make them do that, Mr. Ziguélé?
But since we have foreign forces in our country, we have MISCA, we have French forces, and they have to do all they can do to disarm rebels from Seleka or Anti-Balaka, and all foreigners, Chadians or Sudanese or somebody else who has gone in the country, they have to leave the country. That is clear.
You talk about elections. You've hinted to me that you want to stand for president. Is it indeed true that your ambition is to be the next president of your country?
I have never told to you that I'm going to be a candidate. Right now, my main concern today is to bring what I can bring to make my country peaceful and in security.
But I tell you why I'm asking. I want to know about your
political competition, political ambition, and so on. We can't speak about that when peace will be back in my country, not now.
Right, because that's the very point I was getting to. It seems to me that you politicians in Central African Republic are keen to keep talking about elections and dividing up the power. The fact is, there is no possibility of meaningful democracy in your country right now because the different militias have gone through all of the regions. They've attacked municipal offices. All of the voter records have gone in many areas. It's inconceivable that there can be free and fair, secure elections in 2015. I just wonder whether you have to be realistic about what happens next in your country.
You know, I am an insurer. I have begun my life, my professional life as an insurer. And I don't know if you know someone more pragmatic than an insurer. I am very pragmatic and realistic. And I do know that since our country is not a very crowded country, it's not a very complicated country, and we don't need a very huge force to restore peace and very complete disarmament in our country. Once security back in our country, when administration back, I think that we can go to election. But I don't want to put the things into a calendar to say we have to go and do in 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months. I don't know. But what I want is that peace before, security before, administration back, people back in villages and surroundings and neighbors, and then after we can talk about election, and we can go to election. See, in Mali,
yeah.
Mali has been in elections.
Well, that's true.
I
but
think
that's true.
We have to keep hope. We have to keep hope, and I have to give hope.
Final question. You say keep hope, and you have a smile on your face. I read figures which say 70% of the children in your country are no longer going to school because the schools have been destroyed or are simply not operating. There are thousands of child soldiers being recruited to different militias as we speak in your country. How can you be optimistic about the future given that reality?
I want to put out that what is happening in our country, we are all responsible for that. And right now, God had helped us, and we have some troops in our country to bring back peace. When peace will be about, I know that we have very great effort to do to build up education, to build education in our country, to fight against militias and so on. You know, since in our country there is no education, there is not employment for youth, and they are there as raw material for all militias, for all adventurers. So they are ready to die only for 1 penny or so on. And I know that it's very difficult, since if youth is not educated, you cannot build a nation. But we have to be hopeful, because if you have not hope, what can we do?
We have to end with that thought. Martin Ziguélé in Paris, thank you very much for being on Hard Talk.
I would like to thank you.